Hi guys, welcome back to Cinema Suitcase. I am Kev, this is my co-host Logan, and today we're doing one of my choices, which is Jaws.
Classic.
And it's a classic, an absolute classic. We had this on the get to list for months now.
Yeah, it's been on the get to list for a while.
And I remember the last time we got together, we were like, we've done enough creature features because of Halloween. Oh, sorry, Monster in the Houses, basically.
Yeah.
And we decided, no, we're going to save Jaws for a later time. But now, I mean, our last Monster in the House was either Lake Placid or Anaconda. I think it was Lake Placid. And that was 4 months ago. So, it's time for another...
It's time for another one,
Another
yes.
Monster in the House. And of course, no better way to kick off a 2022 than with a Jaws. Well, it's not kicking it off, but it's in the beginning. Anyways, should we do stats first instead of stories?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so this movie obviously was directed by Steven Spielberg. Legend.
The
First
legend.
movie. I think he was like 25 when he made this movie. Ugh, it's so,
25?
so annoying.
Legit. It is bloody good, though.
Screenplay was both by Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb. But and also Peter Benchley is also wrote the original Jaws novel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That's great. So he came back to make sure they got this script right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Michael Crichton did for Jurassic Park.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Original music by John Williams, of course.
Of course. One of the most famous movie soundtracks ever, I think.
Yeah, I mean the Jaws theme is one of the most recognizable themes
renowned. Dude, honestly. Sorry. It's been parodied so many times or referenced that iconic music in other films. Sorry.
Cinematography by Bill Butler.
My man's.
Film editing by Werner Fields. And then let's go look up technical specs. This is where I really start to geek out as a film nerd. Alright. This had a mono sound mix.
Of course, being an older film, a much older film. 1975, right?
75. Camera, which was the Ariflex 35-3 Panavision C series lens. Just a lot of things. Shot in 35 millimeters, so proper prestige filmmaking.
The peak of film, if you will.
And obviously since it's 35, it's 35 millimeter. When they did a 4K of it, it was like a proper 4K. Because that's an interesting little tangent is that it depends on the movie these days. Because some movies are shot in 4K, but a lot of movies like the Marvel movies, for example, are all shot in 2K. And the reason why apparently is because the thing is when they shoot in 4K, it makes it harder to blend CGI and stuff like that. So they have to shoot at 2K because of all the CGI they use. So whenever they do a 4K Blu-ray of Avengers Endgame or whatever, it's not a proper true 4K. It's a 2K scan which has been upscaled to 4K.
To 4K, legit.
Yeah.
Sort of like what they did recently with the definitive edition of the GTA trilogy. They just ran it through an upscale, and that was it. And then we saw how that turned out.
Yeah, I didn't touch it up.
No, legit, it was atrocious. Anyways, I'm trying to think of my history with this film. I've always known about it, and I watched it when I was very young. It never spooked me because I was in the middle of the country, nowhere near the ocean, so I never got paranoid. But I remember watching it as a youngster in flashes, and now in the recent years I watched it again, obviously with all our newfound knowledge, and I found a true appreciation for this movie. Love it. Anyway, that would probably be my origin. It's very simple.
Yeah. I definitely do. I definitely remember. I remember exactly how old I was when I watched this movie because my parents trusted me with movies. But I do remember specific moments of the movie. I remember I was very glued to the screen when I watched Jaws, and I even remember the moment where And I remember laughing because this is a very funny movie. Like it's got really good dialogue and really great characters. And I remember the bit where Chief Brody's like throwing the chum into the water, then the shark its head comes out, and that's when you get the first real look at the shark's head.
Yeah.
And then he
sits
up, and then he's he walks backwards, and then he's like we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Oh, I love that.
I remember loving that moment. That was like my favorite moment from the movie.
Dude, legit, just his reaction. We even, while watching it last night, we were like, oh, here's the scene. And he's like, and then I made the joke. It has that Metal Gear Solid notification sound. That I love that that scene. Just it's not like I was watching it last night, and Jaws is such a wonderful blend of terror and like humor.
Yeah.
They really merge so harmoniously.
Some people. Yeah, this movie is a good mix of like horror and like adventure, because it does have a bit of an adventure feel to it.
It does.
Like, what would you classify it as? Like
as a genre.
In terms of those two genres, where do you think it leans more towards?
Adventure and horror.
Adventure and horror. Kind of the same with Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park's also like adventure and horror.
I would. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a unique blend. I think just looking at if you scale the relaxing quiet moments against the horrific moments, I think it leans towards more adventure.
Yeah,
I think so. Just more like the horror is more of a spice than like the main attraction,
Yeah.
For me.
I will say that after I watched this movie, I didn't want to go swim in the pool for like almost a year.
Yeah, no, legit, dude. I think not when I was younger, because I'm a water baby, but after watching it in like 2016 for like 2 weeks, I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I don't need to swim. I don't care that I'm dying in a heat wave. I know I can't see into water this deep, so I'm not getting in it. Because we all know there's a shark in there. It's true, bro. There's always a shark in the pool.
Exactly. So yeah, do you want to start us off with the story?
Of course. So Jurassic Park. I'm joking. So Jaws opens up as it's like a bonfire beach party. There's youth all around making out and all that typical teenage 70s spring break kind of kids. Yeah, I mean Amity is like, it's a small town, right?
It's a small town. It's on like this little island.
It's on a little island, exactly. It's not a huge booming city, so it's not like there's a lot of kids, but nonetheless there's a social group all chilling out on the beach, and in their drunken state, this honey runs off down the beach after making out with some Romeo dude.
They didn't even make out. Like they were eyeing each other across the camp. Then he walks over.
I'm thinking of another couple. Sorry.
Yeah. And then we don't hear what he says to her, but like he's like talking to her or something. Then all of a sudden she gets up and like starts running. And he's like, wait, hold up.
Dude, yeah. I don't know. I wish I knew what he said to make her run. Like, imagine it was something that just freaked her out. Anyway.
What did he say? Like, what did he say to her, man?
Dude, I don't know. Anyway, like, she starts running down the beach. The sun is just starting to break first light, and they're all undressing, and then typical, dude, he passes out immediately after. And I argued this last night. I said, there's no ways you would be like chasing after honey, getting ready to get freaky, and then suddenly you just pass out. You would be wide awake.
You get a rush of adrenaline.
Dude, you would be sober.
You'd be awake.
You would be so awake, dude. Anyway, she goes swimming of course now that they're separate from the group, they're sort of by themselves. No one is with them, and what happens is she ultimately gets eaten by Jaws himself, which is just a shark, a great white, a massive one that's decided to make this territory around the Amity town and island its territory.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the opening scene. As I say, like, older movies, they always have that one scene that just grips you in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, it often involves characters that aren't crucial to the plot, but once, they hook you and then you're invested. That's what I think modern movies kind of lack a little bit. What's your take?
Yeah, thinking about it now, a lot of modern movies do like that.
They do, hey? That's what I like about older films. I noticed it when we started during our October Halloween and segments, that a lot of the older movies have that one really nice opening scene, and then that's it. Then the story sort of kicks off. But new movies don't do that, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
You're missing something crucial. Anyways, She ultimately gets murdered. Oh yeah, remember I said I wanted to bring up some quick trivia. That scene where she's being pulled around by the shark, that machine was actually like way too tight, and those screams are real because it broke her foot.
Oh jeez.
So it's actually quite interesting to watch that scene with that sort of trivia.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was in like actual pain, but they were like, use it anyway, it's fine. We'll just pay her off. Anyway, so it's now the sun has risen up a couple of hours later, and we meet Chief Brody and his wife and his... How many children does he have? Is it 2 or 3? Because you never really see them all together.
I think he's got like at least 3 kids.
I think it's 3.
Because I remember in Jaws like 4 or whatever, there's at least 3 kids.
Yeah, there's quite an army, isn't there? But they're all relatively young, so they're not huge characters. But nonetheless, he's at home, and he's getting ready for work. You know, he puts on his... By the way, he's a deputy. He's actually a sheriff. Is he a sheriff?
Yeah, he's a sheriff.
He is a sheriff. I wanted to make sure I had the right title. He's a sheriff for the Amityville police. He moved from New York quite recently, him and his family. So he's used to very big city life, and Amityville is... Amityville. Amity's quite a change of pace. They slowed right down. It's like a fishing town. It's quiet.
And he even says that there hasn't been a murder or a mugging in like 25 years.
Legit. I don't know what planet that is. Anyway, he gets called to work, and he's on the beach. He's talking to another, and they're like a real surfer bro. You can see it, mullet wearing dude, and he meets up with his like partner, I guess.
His deputy.
It's deputy. Yeah, these cop titles, dude. They always confuse me. Anyway, his deputy, and they found the body of the woman that was just munched a couple of hours earlier.
Yeah.
So, in effect, they out of concern, they want to close the beaches for a while. Because obviously, if you keep giving the thing a fresh supply of food, it's going to keep lingering.
Yeah.
So, but now this is sort of where like a secondary antagonist comes into play for this film.
Which is the mayor.
Which is the mayor.
Mayor follows him and basically says, who do you think you have the authority to close down the beaches? We need those summer dollars.
We need those summer dollars.
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
I mean, I understand his perspective. Like the town needs the 4th of July because that's when the town makes most of its money.
It's when it gets its economy going.
It's when it gets its economy going, and they need that money for the rest of the year until the next 4th of July or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I understand his perspective, but at the same time, also just kind of like, you idiots.
Legit, I understand his motivation, even though he seems very corrupt. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that he is thinking of the town's best interests, but he can be very sleazy and just very whatever.
I think he's more concerned about his own interests because he comes across as very corrupt to me. He has like a clique, some goons.
Very, very corrupt. Yeah, because when he comes up to Chief Brody, he's got this whole like gang around him and everything. And I'm just kind of going like, why do idiots always need like a bunch of sidekicks and backup?
Legit. Just
like it's Chief Brody. He's gonna take you all down, basically.
For sure.
He's the one with the gun, man. But anyway,
he's the one with the gun.
Yeah, and then you can sort of get a sense of that because Chief Brody, the reason why he wants to close down the beach is because when he phones the forensic, I guess the forensic autopsy guy for the town. The guy says to him, like, yeah, it was a shark attack, whatever. But then later, he's with the mayor. Then he says, oh, no, it was a boating accident. He's like, but you said shark attack. He's like, I was wrong. He's like, will you stand by that? I'll stand by that.
Dude, and then he, like, walks off.
So it clearly sees that the mayor clearly, like, shook him down or something.
Dude, he,
that.
Bought him or something.
Or the mayor phoned him up and said, hey, we're not closing down the beaches. Change your reports.
Legit, scared him with his goons. That's the thing. That's why I say he's like quite a scumbag, this dude.
Yeah.
I don't like this mayor. The first time I watched Jaws, the second time rather, I was hoping that he would get munched. I was like, come on, fish, do your job. He doesn't eat. He eats everyone that's nice, except this mayor.
That's also interesting because I remember in the second Jaws movie when the council or town council whatever wants to get rid of they vote to fire Chief Brody, the mayor's the only one that actually sticks up for him. Legit. But I guess also because after the first movie now he kind of respects the sheriff a bit more, because you can tell he doesn't respect Chief Brody.
No, he always plays him down. Like anything he has to say, he sort of pokes holes in it because they don't have like proof on them in the moment, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's bull. But he's obviously just meant to serve as an obstacle. Even though to me, I don't like him.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think you're meant to like him. Nonetheless, Mayor insists the beaches stay open because they need those summer dollars.
Summer dollars.
And so the result is Chief Brody and his deputy, they have to find a way of keeping the beaches safe, but also allowing like that huge influx of people. And there's like a 30-second or whatever montage of like lots of people coming via boat and stuff.
Oh yeah, later in the movie. Yeah, like massive ships of people. Dude. I'm just kind of going like, how are all these people from this island?
Legit, bro. It's the Fire Festival all over again.
Yeah.
And you can see because of Chief Brody's... Sure, my door scared me. Chief Brody's research into shark attacks and like hunting patterns and stuff like that. He's very paranoid when he's on the beach. He sees anything in the like water at all that's suspicious, and he's like really tense in his chair.
Yeah, there's that scene where he's like sitting in the chair. His wife's like sunbathing next to him, and he's like just like looking at them. When people come and talk to me, like looks up to like look at the oceans.
I love that scene so much, dude. The way they did it, because initially this dude comes and starts burbling some rubbish, and he casually stops giving a and like he starts looking over the shoulder the way he does it. I always find like I'm not sure the actor's name, but Chief Brody's body language is so flippant brilliant, dude. It's comedic. So obviously he has major concerns, and there does end up being an attack, right? There is an attack.
Yeah, there does. In that initial beach scene, the one guy's playing with his dog gets munched, and then and also that little boy that went out swimming. His mom says like, you need to come. You need
10 more minutes.
You need to come back. He's like, come on, mom, 10 more minutes. And Steven Spielberg broke the two rules of screenwriting: don't kill a child, and don't kill the dog.
Legit, and he was like, no.
Break those rules.
Break those rules, boy.
Yeah.
Well, it is kind of suggestive, the dog, because we just never see it again, but we don't know if it actually died.
Like, I don't know. I'm just assuming that.
I assume it's dead. Yeah.
Because I mean the dog's out in the water, and then and then the guy's looking for his dog, but you don't see the dog anywhere. So I'm assuming
True. It's just we don't see it die on screen or hear it, so it's like suggested it got wrecked.
Yeah.
But I like to think it ran into the crowd.
Ran into the crowd. It's like, screw this here.
Yeah, I saw a fin. It was like, nope.
Like saw the shark. I was just like, nope.
Nope. It's like that little like chihuahua thing in the Meg when it jumps off the boat and it sees the shark and it just turns around. That's what the dog was. It was like, nope.
That was a funny scene.
And the result is now that they have a victim in front of all these people. They sort of rally. The town rallies to hunt this shark. Now, of course, typical bloody people. They want to just kill it, and
also, I was just gonna say that there's also that town. Remember, there's that town hall meeting.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And there's that one woman who looks like a younger version of my granny. I swear. Like, I even said that every time I watch this movie with my mom, I always say like, this looks like Granny, and my mom's always like, yeah, I agree with you. But then she's like, oh, you're gonna close the beaches, and my suntan and everything.
Yeah, she's going off typical bloody 1970s Karen. Going off, my suntan. Where we were before it stopped recording was the town. They come together to have a meeting to discuss like what's the plan forward now, because obviously they want that revenue from 4th of July, but they can't risk this shark attack or this shark lingering,
Yeah.
So everyone comes together to discuss it, and ultimately they decide they're going to hunt this shark. They sort of like mob justice it.
Yeah.
They don't seem to really discuss it more than just decide. They're suddenly all going to run out and go and catch it. There is a reward for the shark though. It's like $3,000, I think.
Yeah, it's $3. The mom of the child that died, she's putting out a bounty of $3,000 for the shark and everything, and then And then obviously we then get our introduction of Quint.
Of
who like does the famous like
chalkboard,
like screech with his nails.
And he gives like this whole spiel.
You want to hunt a shark, eh?
I love him as a character.
Yeah, I also love him as a character. And he's like but I'm not doing it for no mere 3,000. You want 10,000. I want at least 10,000. For that you get you get the head, the tail, the whole goddamn thing.
The whole goddamn thing. Legit. But I think they don't take his deal. They think, the village idiot, leave him to do his thing.
Well, Chief Brody wants to hire him, but the mayor's basically just like, nah.
Well, of course, Chief Brody, he's like that town from Lake Placid. He's the only one with any brains and logic. Everyone else is like, oh, real fruity characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, the town decides they're gonna go and hunt this shark now, and they use all manner of methods. They use chum, they use like little bombs in the water,
and it's like this whole horde of boats.
Legit, they all like a flock, dude, if you will. They're all just going together.
I was telling you about in the game Maneater. There's often times there'll be those big hordes of boats, and you gotta go around and just smash and wreck the boats and everything. Because Maneater sort of works. It sort of has like a GTA. Star system where as you cause more chaos, you get more and more shark hunters to come after you, and then it levels up in terms of difficulty and everything, and but you just wreck those boats.
You can, especially later in game when you have your upgrades. I've seen footage.
Yeah. Maneater is a very good game, but it reminded me of that.
Legit, it does, and it doesn't take long before they actually catch a shark.
Yeah, and then obviously. Just before that, the marine biologist shows up.
Yes, yeah.
He's trying to get the sheriff's attention, but the sheriff's obviously distracted. And then he tells those guys to not go out, but they're not listening to him.
They're legit not. They just want that cash.
Yeah, they just want the cash. And then when they do catch that, they catch a shark. The marine biologist guy, he comes and studies because obviously there's a scene where he goes. Him and Sheriff to go look at the first victim. And he looks at the bite marks. He's basically just like, this wasn't a boating accident, this was a shark.
Yeah, he doesn't get in his face, but the guy that did the autopsy is there, and he knows he was lying or he was paid off.
Yeah.
And so you can tell he's feeling really shite because of the marine biologist, Mr. Hooper, disproving his theory.
Yeah.
And or rather debunking it, his lies. And so the result is they still believe the shark is out there. Because once they catch this tiger shark, it's obviously not it is a shark, but it's not the shark that is doing these crimes.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we got a shark. And then there's that one guy that Hooper's it's not a great white, it's a tiger shark. He looks at him, he's like, oh, what? I'm just what? I always found that guy's reaction so funny.
Yeah, I'm not surprised he lives on an island, dude. He's thick as concrete, dude.
Jeez. Oh, what?
Oh, what?
He's what? What? Do you think there's only one type of shark out there?
Legit, bro. That's what I was about to say. He's one of those people that think, shark's a shark. Which I guess it is, but there's more than one type, you idiot.
There's multiple species of sharks.
Legit. Shark is a shark. What? My IQ drops with that guy. I swear. Anyway, marine biologist Mr. Hooper proves that the shark that they caught is not the shark doing these crimes because of the whole bite radius thing, and so we find out that they still have the option of closing the beaches because this they haven't caught it, right?
Yeah.
And then now there's 2 deaths on their hands, or 3 if you count the dog, but the mayor's still resisting. He's like, this is the busiest day of the year, 4th of July. People from everywhere come over. If they don't come to our town,
we will be open.
Yeah, they go to the next town and so forth, but we will be open. And so the result is he puts Sheriff Brody in a really tough position because he has to, make a plan, basically. He has to find a way to keep everyone safe on the beach but still allow them to go into the water. And that's not easy because he's like a 2-man team. He has him and his deputy, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. I mean, if you think about it, it is a small, quiet town, but 2 people? Really?
I mean,
unless people were off.
I don't know. The thing is, man, small towns in America are weird. There's some towns where there's one sheriff and one deputy. There's a sheriff and a deputy. And then there's other towns where there's a sheriff and he has at least like 6 or 8 deputies. So it depends. It really just depends.
I guess so. But I mean, it is, for like 2 decades, it's been a quiet town. So I guess the need isn't really there.
Yeah.
Still, I just think it's a bit weird. Anyways, like this scene, of course, there is the whole fear of sharks already. Like the townsfolk think they know to avoid the water, right? It's the tourists, if you will, that still want to go swimming. And so these 2 young kids, they make this bloody like shark fin. It's like, I don't know what it's made of, but
Like a fake, like basically like a rubber shark fin or whatever. And they scare all the people off the beach. I mean, out of the water and back onto the beach, but then they find that, oh yeah, it's just 2 kids making fun of it or whatever. And that's also the interesting bit, because when they're on the beach, on the 4th of July, everyone's on the beach, but like there's a bunch of people, a lot of people are just sitting on the sand. They don't actually want to go out into the water. Then the mayor cucks out one of his lackeys or whatever and says like go into the water. Nobody's going into the water. Legit. Go.
And sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit, but I just wanted to say what Sheriff Brody did was he has like patrol boats sort of dispersed out in the water, constantly surveilling for sharks, as well as he has that tower thing set up.
Yeah.
Like Shark Spotter. I'm not sure what it's officially called. And so that's kind of the little bit of defenses they did manage to set up and put together with such limited time. But it doesn't end up working because of the whole shark hoax. Everyone runs out the water again, but the shark has actually gone up sort of the channel to like a sort of smaller...
Yeah, because there's a small like little pond area, and then when his boys want to go out and sail with their boat, he says to them like, just go
over there where it's more safe.
Go over there to the pond for your old man, or whatever. And then it turns out the shark's actually there by the pond. It's not there by the main water.
Exactly, and then cue random guy that just gets wrecked. You know that dude. He feels out of place to me in that movie. What do you think?
Yeah, he does feel out of place because he's like sailing there. And then, like, he says to his kids, like, hey, kids, are you alright and everything? And I'm just kind of going, like, whoa, okay, red flag.
Yeah, dude. He just appears.
It's a good thing the shark ate him.
Legit, bro.
Because I was legit worried.
I also got spooked. I was like, who's this meth head? He's just coming up to these children. What did you think of this film? Up until then, did you like it? Did you like its pacing? Did you like its characters, world building, anything of any notes?
Yeah, I love the pacing. I love the world. I love the characters, the story, and everything like that. It's a very captivating movie. It's just very captivating, very interesting, and yeah, it's one of those movies where there's really not that you really can't point out any flaws with this movie.
I know Steven Spielberg says.
Oh yeah,
he hates watching it.
Yeah, he can't watch this movie because he notices all the mistakes that he made.
He probably has a better understanding because he was there on set, but I don't see any like huge mistakes when I watch this movie.
Well, he also says that he said in interviews that he regrets actually filming out in the ocean because they did film all their scenes out in the ocean, and he said that he should have just used he should have just had it be in a water tank or whatever. Yeah, they should have just filmed it
Why? Why did he regret? Sorry.
Tank or something. Well, no, it's just the thing is when you're out in the ocean, it's harder to film. It's harder to film. It's harder to control compared to when you're shooting in a studio. You can't control the lighting and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I guess that's what he meant.
What he meant. Okay.
Also, the problem is they're gonna to haul this this huge shark or animatronic into the actual ocean. Mm-hmm. When it would have been a lot easier to control it in a diving tank or something.
Exactly, I get you. From a technical standpoint, I see what you mean. What he means as well. I wanted to say one thing I really give this movie props for is what did we watch recently, where we referenced this idea. Anyway, we were talking about how it was Texas Chainsaw, how the mind makes up its worse than whatever you see.
Yeah, because the movie is because Texas Chainsaw is very subtle with its gore and its violence.
Legit. So what they kind of take the concept over to Jaws, where you see the shark barely at all. You don't see much of it until later on.
Yeah, until the third act, you don't really see the shark.
You just see what it's done to people, and as well as the imagery from the books that Mr. Brody has been studying, and also of course the iconic tune for Jaws. But I think that comes into play more in legit. I think that comes more into play into Jaws 2, when Chief Brody has like PTSD. So every time he looks at the water, there's this certain tune that plays, and you start to think, okay, the shark is literally there in the water when it may not be. You know, that kind of mind play is what I like. Because obviously, towards the end being the technological limits, when you see that shark, it's like, you know, it's this huge gummy rubber thing. You're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
But because they kept its screen time minimal, it's far more impactful. So I like Spielberg's approach there.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, it was a bit of a tangent, but I wanted
it's fine. It's very rare, and it's very rare for monster movies these days to hide the monster so much. It's kind of similar to like Alien as well.
Legit.
Like Alien also hides the first one. It hides the creature very, very well. And even like, you know, in that scene in Aliens when they have the turrets set up and the turrets are busy like shooting these aliens and everything
in that corridor.
In that corridor. You don't really you see brief flashes of the aliens getting shot, but you don't see much. It's mostly them in the control room, and you see the ammo counter just going down. Legit. And everything. If they did that today, it would be full of splash scene, aliens getting blasted and parts and everything, and it wouldn't be as impactful.
And the lights would be on.
Yeah, and the lights would be on. You'd be able to see everything. And it wouldn't be as impactful.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's that like that nuance, that subtlety. You know, that's what makes these movies. Same with Predator. Before you fully see him, you get a long, like an hour 20 or so, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Before you see a full, like, complete version of Predator. Because you usually just see his, like, vision and then his cloak. That's it.
Yeah, and you see, like, an outline of him. You see, Legit. Like, the outline that's some creature that's invisible or whatever, yeah.
That's what I mean. They save it until like it's very desperate, then they reveal him. But nowadays they just show it, and I'm like, bro.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a very tight rope to walk on.
It is,
because the thing is, if you don't show too much of the shark, then or the creature or the monster or the ghost or whatever, the audience complains, says, "Oh, I wanted to see it or whatever, or where was the ghost or the creature or whatever." And even in like, okay, this is pretty much like slight spoilers, but I know you're already not looking forward to this. But Blair Witch Project. You don't see you don't see the witch or whatever. There was even there's one scene in the movie where they're running down, where the characters are running down the hill, and then the cameraman obviously, and in that scene the cameraman was supposed to turn, and he was supposed to see like a brief image of the witch, witch before turning back, but the cameraman forgot to do it. I'm just like, and I'm first of all just like, dude, you had one freaking job and you didn't do it, and then they decided, oh no, whatever, we don't have time, just carry on filming, and I'm like. Yeah, but the thing is, I understand subtlety and nuance, but you have to have some sort of payoff. Like, even if you hide the creature until, like, the very, like, third act, and I only get to see it the third act, you have to at least show me something.
Yeah, glimpses.
Because the problem with like, Blair Witch Project, for example, I'll just use this as an example, you never see anything, so there's never any freaking payoff. Yeah, which is a thing. I mean, yes, I understand subtlety, and it's more scary to imagine what happened rather than what's seen. But there's got to be some kind of payoff.
Legit. Yeah.
The problem is that you got to strike that balance where you're subtle about it, but at the same time you have to show me something. But you mustn't show me too much. So yeah. But anyway. Yeah.
No, you perfectly justified. You basically gave another way of explaining what I did or what I said. It's just the little bits of payoffs, like flashes and imagery, but don't blatantly put it out there, you know? Yeah. And also don't show nothing at all. Don't hold back that much. Yeah. As you said, it's a fine line to sort of balance. Yeah. It really is. Anyway, coming back to the story, because now Chief Brody's son and his friends are all in the pond and playing with the boat they got for his birthday. Yeah. The shark decides, no, I'm going to head up the channel and go and suss this boat. But thankfully, random script, hero, creepy guy number 1 decides to row to these kids for whatever reason, and he's the one that ends up getting munched. Yeah. Like, to me, he feels like the most shoehorned part of that movie. Yeah. Why would he go up to a random bunch of kids? I understand that they had like a bit of a bicker amongst themselves because they were talking about tying up certain ropes and stuff. But like, bruh, they're doing all right. They're not drowning. Leave them. And this guy goes up to them. I don't know. Red flag, man. Legit, man. He was creepy. And he looked like a cyclist. His calf muscles, dude. He looked like a cyclist. Cyclists are the worst people, apparently. Yeah, they're road hogs. Anyway. He gets munched, and the mayor still refuses to acknowledge that the beaches must be closed. But he instead, I think he takes Quint's deal to hunt the shark.
Well, no, because remember, like the guy gets munched, and then the kids are able to escape. None of them get eaten, but Sheriff Brody's one son, he gets frightened with shock or whatever, PTSD. And he has to end up going to the hospital. And then the mayor's there. Then obviously, I think it's more just in a sense of I think that's the turning point, because it's kind of just we already lost one kid, and now we almost lost a whole group of them. Mm-hmm. So now it's kind of okay, now we need to now you need to actually get rid of the damn shark.
Exactly, just bite the bullet, dude, because people are ultimately gonna start dying because of you if you just keep ignoring.
And I think ultimately the reason why he eventually agrees to hire Quint is because he even says, Chief Brody says, Chief Brody, my kids were on that beach too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It becomes once it starts affecting you, that's when you start giving. That's why I still don't like this dude. I understand his logic, as we discussed a bit earlier, but this guy, he's really thick, dude, and selfish. He's selfish.
He is selfish, yeah. Uh-huh. And then even sorry, just to quickly add. There's that one bit where, because remember we have all those scenes with just Hooper and Sheriff Brody. There's a bit where they cut open that tiger shark.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up.
To check its digestive system to see if it's the right shark or not. But it turns out not to be. And then the two of them go out on Hooper's boat, and then they find this wrecked ship or whatever, boat of one of the fishermen on the town. So then they go down to go see if they could find him, and then Hooper pulls out a tooth, but then he sees a dead body, so he gets frightened, he drops the tooth or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the next day when they go talk to the mayor, and the mayor's just not listening to them, whatever. They're busy talking to him, whatever. Then the mayor looks at the big sign of Amity Beach, come here for 4th of July, whatever. And then somebody drew a shark fin and everything like that. And he says, Chief Brody, I want you to arrest whoever did that. That is blatant vandalism of a public service announcement or whatever. And
dude, and he keeps brushing off because Hooper dropped that tooth, that there is no evidence, they made it up. And I don't know, I struggle to fathom that there's people this thick on this planet. There really are these,
it's politicians.
It's politicians, it's exactly it. It's the invisible hand in these idiots. Oof. So we were at where we just Mayor Selfish just decided he has to something has to be done about this shark. So he lets Quint he lets him have the job, full 10 grand. He gets to go and hunt it however he sees fit.
Yeah.
And he takes Sheriff Brody with, as well as Hooper, because obviously they need a shark expert. And
he doesn't want to take anybody. He actually just wants to go by himself. But Chief Brody says it's my charter, so I'm coming with.
Exactly.
And if I come with, then Hooper comes with me. Mm-hmm. Basically,
their package deal, because Hooper has the knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like this. This last 45 minutes of the movie, the dynamicism between the three of them is very complex. They're not surface level characters, Yeah,
they're very, very good, especially later when they get drunk that one night, and then they're sharing war stories about how they got all their scars, all different scars in their body. And Hooper's saying that, oh no, this one, I was collecting samples and a shark scratched past me and it scratched my leg, or there's this bit here and everything, and then there's that bit where Quint goes on a whole monologue about that war story about during World War II when they dropped the bomb in
Japan,
in Japan, and then they got their ship got wrecked, and then they got attacked by sharks and everything.
1,100 men, 6 an hour average. That's hectic, bro.
Yeah.
The Indianapolis ship. I don't know if it was a real ship. My history is not that. Great, but
lifeless eyes, black eyes,
doll's eyes. You always quote that line, dude. Before we even watch Jaws, you always quote that thing.
Yeah, because I love that line, man.
It's a
that and we're gonna need a bigger boat of the two.
Dude,
my top two quotes.
I went
and also summer dollars.
I went to Ushaka Marine World in 2019, which
nice.
It's basically an aquarium in South Africa as well as a water park.
I think I've also been to a shark marine world, but it was like very, very long time ago.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. I think like at least over a decade ago. Because
Wow.
obviously, we live in Gauteng, which is there's no ocean here, so
Legit.
Yeah.
I get you. Anyway, the reason I brought it up is because I never understood what they meant by like a shark's eyes. But when I was in the aquarium, and obviously by the shark tanks, they had like reef sharks there and white tips and stuff like that. And the sharks would obviously come by the glass, and they have the most dead looking eyes you've ever seen in your life, dude. They're actually frightening. Like, I have a specific image that I'll put in the final edit, just to show everyone what I'm talking about. The shark is dead. So when he says that and you bring that quote up, all I get is PTSD of that image, like, in my face.
Yeah.
It's really scary shark eyes. They really look soulless, dude. It's really spooky. Anyways, sorry, they go out. They're the chartered boat, which is conveniently called the Orca. When did Black Orca come out? After Jaws or before? I think after.
Let me actually go search it up because I remember I've never seen the movie, like it's on my watch list, but I remember going and doing research about it, and people were saying that like it came out like around the same time as Jaws, but some people like it more than Jaws because it's a lot darker and much more intense and everything.
Man, I'm looking at the cast of Jaws now. They're old.
Here we go. It's simply just called Orca.
Oh.
And it's from 1977, so it was 2 years after Jaws.
After Jaws. Wow. Yeah. That's really cool. They basically maybe the guys that worked on Orca, they saw Jaws and they were like, you know, this is how you should do it. So they made it more tonally dark. By the way, I wanted to ask you earlier, and my question forgot. In relation to Jaws, what do you think the main theme is? Because I've been thinking about that.
Yeah, you have a point there.
No, sorry, I'm just checking you in frame. Yeah. Barely. Yeah, right?
It's a very good question, actually. What is the theme?
Dude, I was thinking about it before we started. Yeah. Well, remember, there was that whole thing with Jaws where lots of people lost business because of the movie Jaws when it came out in the summer. People refused to go. Like, business actually closed down because of Jaws. So, I mean, it is definitely one of them. Don't go in the water.
It's the same with when 2017 came out. A lot of clowns, you know, actual professional clowns, like party clowns, stuff like that in America, a lot of them were struggling for business because parents just wouldn't hire any clowns
Shame, man.
for their kids because after they saw it.
The youngsters had PTSD. Probably some of the adults too.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. It's been scratching my head. Like, what is the theme of Jaws?
People who are more qualified can do this. More qualified than us.
Legit. Have a whole video essay on what is the theme of Jaws. Okay. Well, I'm gonna ponder this question until I die, probably. But I want to know. And another thing I want your take on, but I'm not sure if I should ask it now. No, let's finish first, and then I'm gonna come back to what I want to ask you.
Right.
Anyway, they head out, and it's actually they have 2 encounters with the shark over the course of
it's quite
probably
a long,
like 12 hours or so.
Quite a long thing because they basically they have these barrels, and then they have like this harpoon gun, and then they shoot the shark with the barrels, and the barrels are basically supposed to force the shark up to the surface, so the shark can't dive too far.
Uh-huh.
And but like this shark's like a big shark.
It's a beast, dude.
Like 25 feet.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a monster. Anyway, the shark, it gives them a fight. I mean, their boat is basically destroyed by the end of the fight. Nonetheless, I think I don't want to jump too far ahead too quickly. Because I think they start in like the afternoon, I think, and then it goes throughout the whole night till the next morning. That's their fight with the shark. It's bloody long.
And it's very good with like tension and stuff like that because they're like obviously on the boat, and then Chief Brody's never really sailed, so he doesn't really know how to do the boats and stuff like that.
He doesn't know knots or like call outs or anything.
And then there's that bit where Hooper's like driving the boat. Quint is sitting there with like his massive heavy duty fishing rod, which is obviously built for like a big thing like a shark or whatever. And then Chief Brody's trying to get the knot right, and then like Quint keeps saying like no you're doing it wrong or whatever, and then there's that bit where like the line starts to get pulled a bit, and then Quint notices this, and then like he's slowly like hooking himself in, like he hooks himself to the chair, he like does all this like stuff to like secure himself,
and the rod so it won't be pulled out.
Yeah, rod so that it won't be pulled, and then as Chief Brody gets the knots right, that's when the shark appears.
The line goes. He's like, I got it. Yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah,
I love how they all have their own like, background jobs that they keep busy with. They're not just like sitting there, singing Kumbaya. They keep busy. Like Hooper is sometimes majority time he's the driver.
Yeah,
and Sheriff Brody just assists wherever he's needed.
Yeah,
it's really cool. And of course, our main fisherman is the professional Quint. Yeah. I like, that scene where they sit down and talk. Like Quint's actor asks Steven Spielberg if he can have a few shots before that so he can actually get into the role, and I think he portrays it well.
He does.
But more so, it's a real breakdown of his character, or not a breakdown, but an insight.
Yeah.
It really provides context, because obviously he was in the World War, and like he had like a hard life. He even sort of brings it up with Hooper when he says, you city boys, because he has very smooth hands. He has no calluses or anything.
Yeah, there's this constant back and forth between Hooper and Quint, and he keeps saying that you college boys, and yes Mr. Hooper, you brought all this very expensive equipment.
And then he also says something about you never know when to admit that you're wrong. I forget the exact quote.
It's when Quint gets that pull on his line, and then Hooper keeps going like, it's not a shark, it's a whatever. Like he's very insistent that it's not actually it's not the actual shark or whatever. And then eventually like Quint says like you college boys don't know when to admit when you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. He shuts him down, and the thing is, obviously Hooper is offended by that because he obviously feels he contributes, but not in Quint's eyes.
He even says, I don't need this working class hero, BS.
Stuff. Yeah, legit. Yeah. And that's why I think it fuels the tension more, because they don't get along well. They're not like a ragtag bunch like the Suicide Squad. They're just three random dudes that don't, from different social circles or
different lives
completely come together, and they don't always work together.
Yeah, because Quint is like this war hero. Fisherman who's obviously had a hard life. Hooper's like this rich kid who obviously he's not like spoiled or anything. I mean, he is like a marine biologist. He loves sharks and everything, but he is kind of a bit like hot-headed.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's Sheriff Brody, who's like he's the family man.
He's the middleman. He's caught in the middle.
Yeah, the family man who wants to just catch the shark so it stops killing people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes the movie so great at the end, because a lot of the time, as I say, the shark on-screen time is kept to a minimum, and the only time you really see it like for prolonged time is when it wrecks Quint and it comes up onto the back end of the boat. That's when you see most of the shark for the most amount of time, I think. Other than that, you don't see it much at all.
Yeah.
And I like that nuance.
And I like a lot of those like top-down view shots where you see like the shark sort of swimming in the water. You can see it in the water, but it only comes up a few times.
And I think my favorite of that type of shot you just described is when random dude got shoehorned in the script back in the pond.
Yeah.
And you see the boat is tipped, and you see the shark come for him. Yeah. I thought it missed him actually because of how slowly it goes, but then it pulls him, and I was like, oh. Yeah, obviously, exactly. Sorry. You were gonna say?
No, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure how they did that animatronic. I'm sure they had like a remote control for it, but it didn't move very quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was just more the fear of it. That's why I thought it missed him initially, but no. Like, I don't know. I just love breaking down this scene in my head because of the way they work together. They sort of unite by the end.
Yeah, they're sort of like working. They're working very well together towards the end. Yeah.
They understand each other's like strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
and they compromise.
Yeah.
Like egos aside, they say no, we have to get the job done.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what carries this film. It's not the shark. It's the
people.
the people, the characters. But anyways, something now I can bring up my question. You know how in Jurassic Park, I argued about the film theory where the sinners get wrecked,
Yeah.
and the innocents survive.
Yeah.
In this movie, it's almost the opposite.
Yeah.
The sinners get away, like the mayor who insists on keeping the beaches open, but innocent people keep dying.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Do you think Steven Spielberg did that purposefully? He went against the grain, or do you think it's coincidental?
That could be that is a very interesting. Yeah, I've never really thought about that, but yeah, you do bring up a very good point. I think also the reason why. Okay, I'm not. I'm pretty sure Jurassic Park came after Temple of Doom.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it came after Temple because I think Temple of Doom was like in the 80s, basically.
Like 85 or something.
Yeah, like 80s or whatever. Before Temple of Doom, before Temple of Doom, Steven Spielberg, his films were, while he did make a lot of adventure and a lot of family films, he wasn't afraid to do dark things and to have very mature tones in his films and everything like that. And the thing is, after Temple of Doom, because Indiana Jones was technically a family film, even though that's not really. And I even remember when I watched Temple of Doom for the first time, that movie freaked me out. I remember when I got to the one torture scene, I actually stopped watching it. I never watched the rest. I didn't watch the rest. I didn't watch it fully to the end until I was like an adult because like it really freaked me out. I mean, I remember my mom even being shocked to see how freaked out I was. And everything. And the problem is, after Temple of Doom, Steven Spielberg got so much shit from parents saying, "What are you doing? Why are you putting this in a kids' movie? My kids are traumatized. They're having nightmares now because of the shit you put in Temple of Doom." And then after that, Steven Spielberg, it affected him not in a very positive way. It kind of affects him in a negative way, where he's very scared to do violence in his movies, and he's almost like like anti-violence in films. So I think that's why, like Jaws is a bit more hardcore, like. Back in the day when he made Jaws, he wasn't afraid to kill the dog, kill a child, have brutal death scenes and everything like that. But after Temple of Doom, and by the time he got to Jurassic Park, he was basically just like, no, I can't do any of that. The sinners can die, but the innocents can't.
Okay,
so I think that possibly is what happened.
So like a backlash of 70s or 80s Karens basically.
Yeah, because it was switched him. Yeah, because it was basically like because there's a 2-decade gap between Jaws and Jurassic Park.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, basically. So you could see when you watch both films back to back, you can kind of see how his directing style changed between the two films.
Yeah, there's quite an extremity, isn't there?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that he got backlash to the point of changing.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone gets backlash for anything, but
Temple of Doom was a very
controversial,
very big film in his career because that's when the PG-13, like I mentioned with our Texas Chainsaw episode, that was when the PG-13 rating was created. Because obviously back then it was either PG or R. There was no in between, and that was when PG-13 was created. But that was also when Steven Spielberg got all that backlash, and then after that he was very anti-violence in films.
Sure, I can see it. Obviously, I've watched Jurassic Park numerous times, and now watching Jaws again last night, you can see it's a clear difference day and night. Wow. So you think that because of the backlash in the midpoint of those two movies, is why people in Jaws, innocent people get wrecked, but Jurassic Park is vice versa.
Yeah, because the one YouTuber that I love to watch, Chris Stuckman, which most people who watch this channel probably already know who he is. When I was watching his Temple of Doom review, he actually, that whole thing I went on now about Temple of Doom and how it changed Steven Spielberg, I'm pretty much just saying exactly what Chris Stuckman said, because that's what Chris Stuckman said. He said that he was going on about that and everything, and he said that Temple of Doom, the backlash he got from it affected Spielberg, but not in a good way. It affected him kind of almost in a bad way, where it limited him, and he was also very scared to actually. He was very he became more PC, I guess you could say, in his films as a director and everything like that.
I see.
Yeah. Huh. So
I didn't know that.
I thought it was an interesting point to bring up.
So that makes sense. Like, I thought it would be some interesting like breakdown of the film, but in a meta way, it's because he was affected by Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
That's why the contrast between Jurassic Park and Jaws is so extreme.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I thought about it and I was like, no one that deserves to die actually does.
Yeah.
But everyone who's sort of redeemed themselves and been a good person gets wrecked anyway.
Yeah.
And it's kind of harsh. Even in the follow-up, Jaws 2 with Chief Brody, he's got like PTSD and people like treat him harshly. You know, even he got the short end of the stick after Jaws.
But I don't think let me actually check. I don't think Spielberg actually directed Jaws 2.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, I think he just produced it, but he didn't. I think he only directed the first
one, for
the
sure.
first one.
But you know what I mean, though. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the character as a whole.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Because I know, like with Jurassic Park, he directed the first 2 Jurassic Parks, and after that, he was just a producer.
Yeah, no, he didn't do 3. 3 is like a bit of a dark horse. I mean, I don't mind Jurassic Park 3, but a lot of people hate it. I think because the Rex gets wrecked by the Spinosaurus.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's not.
Who did direct it? Did it say? Oh, if you close, don't worry about it.
Close. It's,
Okay, don't
it's
worry about it.
some guy named Janet something, and that was a surname.
Janet Jackson.
No, not Janet Jackson.
Okay, sure. Okay, well, eventually, like after that whole 45-minute segment of them hunting nothing but this shark, they do manage to beat it. Okay, I shouldn't say they. Unfortunately, right at the end of the fight, Quentin gets chowed.
Yeah, and then before that, because Hooper brought these like this cage, and he's got this plan where he wants to try and like sedate it with or like hit it with some poison, like
basically overdose.
Overdose it and hit it in its mouth, but then his cage gets destroyed, but then he escapes the shark and he swims underneath the reef so that he can hide from the shark, and then Sheriff Brody obviously is still on the boat and like he's got the gun and everything, but I'll leave that to you.
Okay,
to
explain. What I said was Quentin gets chowed, but before that they always bring up the air canisters for the scuba gear.
Yeah.
And any sort of harsh impact to those things can risk them exploding. So once Hooper goes under the boat and the shark has had enough and decides to jump on the back deck, well, mostly it's half in the water, half out. Quentin unfortunately gets chowed because the boat is sinking, so he falls into the shark's, gob, and it's only Chief Brody left really. So he finds this canister, he chucks it in the gob of the shark, and as the boat is gradually sinking, he's on the mast and he's taking shots at the canister. It's like a last-ditch effort before he's in its territory, being the water.
Yeah. And
eventually he bombs this bloody shark.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that's the end of the shark. It's dead. I wouldn't stay there long because, the blood. Other sharks will come. So, anyways, Hooper surfaces. The boat is gone. He tells him, no, Quint didn't make it. And they start swimming back to shore. They have a nice little banter while they paddling, and that's it. Then the credits roll.
Yeah.
I love this movie. It's what I said. I don't know if I told you last night, but older movies, as soon as the objective is done, the credits pretty much roll.
Yeah.
Like there's no post-credit scene of 6 months later or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just it's one and done. I like that. It feels very focused and concentrated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there could be a sequel. Like there's suddenly a fin. I mean, there will be a sequel for Jaws, but I mean, they didn't shoot it with the intent of a sequel. You see what I mean? Yeah. It's like a one and done thing. Sort of like how, here's a good example. Quiet Place, the first one. It ends where they have the noise going off and all the creatures come running, and then it ends.
Reloading the shotgun.
Legit, see that ends up hinting at a sequel, and then you're like, for God's sake. Franchise, but Jaws is not.
I was very annoyed at that ending.
So was I. It was so well done, and then right at the end, they were just like, "Nah, bring it." They completely 360. Wow, they 180'd their logic. Anyway, that's another episode. Quiet Place. But Jaws, I like that it was very concluding. It gave closure. Something you want to talk about? Anything you want to add? Maybe I can bounce off of you.
Well, the one moment I didn't want us to go whole this episode I mentioned is that I love that that little moment where when they catch the tiger shark and they're arguing with the mayor about this isn't the real shark and we need to perform an autopsy and everything. The mother of the child that got killed shows up and then she slaps Brody, and then she says to him like, "Yeah, I just found out that you knew that there was a girl that got attacked by the shark previously, and you knew about it, and you didn't do anything and everything." Which we know is like Chief Brody wanted to do something from the get go, but the mayor keeps stopping him at every turn.
Legit.
So really, she should be taking her aggression out on the mayor, but she takes it out on Chief Brody.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the normal flow of the episode. It's Kev here, and I just currently editing this episode, and I realized that the last segment of our audio has been corrupted. Basically, it's gone, where we discuss our favorite shots and our final ratings for this film, which is unfortunate. I have my shots, so I'll add them to the end of the episode somewhere here. My three favorite shots, I only had three. The first is when they're on the ferry, them being Chief Brody and the mayor, and they come across the ferry. That's like a one take shot. It's very, very good. I enjoy that. The second shot I like is, of course, the application of the dolly zoom, which became very popularized by Jaws, and I think even invented by the cinematographer of Jaws. I may be wrong, but I think. And the last shot I do like is when they're hunting the shark. They're on the Quint is standing on the walkway at the front of his boat during a sunset. It's very, very picturesque, ambient, relaxing, peaceful shot, and I really like that shot. I like the way they composed it. I love the use of color, and it's very difficult to get those kind of shots because you're reliant on the sun and the cloud structure and all of that. So you have no real influence of what it'll look like. So I'm glad they managed to capture such a beautiful shot. Those would be mine. I'm not sure what Logan's are. I'm trying to get a hold of him, but he's not in the best place right now. He's going through stuff, so I'm not sure what his shots are. I know his rating is quite high. I think he rated it 10 out of 10 when we recorded. And for me, it's definitely a 10 out of 10 as well. It's a very, very good film. There may be flaws in it, of course, but it is a classic and it has a lot of charm and heart. And I think that that's a good reason to justify a 10 out of 10. It is subjective, of course. Some of you may not like it. Some of you may even prefer Orca, the 1977 film that followed Jaws. I don't know if they were in direct feud or competition with each other, but they are very similar movies from a similar time. And I don't really have anything else to say other than, thank you for tuning into this episode. It was quite fun to make. It's unfortunate that the end was a bit damaged, but I hope that you enjoyed it nonetheless. You can find us on all our normal platforms like YouTube, podcast platforms like Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, anything like that. You're welcome to find us there and give us a follow if you'd like. Any comments or feedbacks or suggestions, ideas, recommendations, anything of the sort, please feel free to leave it in the comments section below on the channel. I don't know if podcast platforms actually have a comment section. I doubt it. It's very limited. But primarily you can find us on YouTube. And thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, thank you guys.